Crafters, it's Cynthia. I am back today and I wanted to do a little bit of playing with my brand new Distress Oxide inks. So my mother, in her generous nature, gave me these 3 to start playing with. I now have completed my collection. The only one I don't have is the darkest brown, which is walnut stain, and I can pick that up at a later date. But so the panel that I made the first time around, I used these colors, and so I wanted to show you my process, and I'm going to go ahead and use the same colors again. So to get started, I think I'm going to start, what should I start with? Maybe the blue. And I'm just going to go ahead and squish this ink pad right onto my craft mat and get some water in it. And the interesting thing about the oxide inks, you've probably seen other videos. There's a great video by Tim Holtz where he's at the CHA conference in back in January, and he does an amazing demo with these. But they're a combination of dye ink and pigment ink, plus they're formulated in a very unique oxide formulation, and so that makes them completely unique in the world of ink. So nobody else currently has anything like this. So as you can see, I just went ahead and spritzed it to get it to bead up on my mat, and I'm going to do a lot of drying, so please pardon the noise. So I'm just going to get this first little bit down, and if I want more movement, I can go ahead and spritz. And the nice thing about these inks is that they're not going to mix together the same way that your dye inks do. So the original Distress inks are all dye inks, and they're transparent and they touch each other and they form a new color, which is great. But if you're like me, you're going to end up making mud. The more colors that you add and the more you try to layer, I always make mud. And if I don't make mud, I feel like I'm always stuck with the same color combinations. And I don't want that all the time. So anyway, I'm just going to keep going. But the fun thing about the fact that they're pigments as well as dyes, it means that the color is less transparent and you can layer a little more successfully and mix colors that wouldn't normally mix. So there is some blue. I'll just wipe this away for now. Oops. And a lot of the ways that you play with your distress inks, your traditional distress inks, those same, what should I say, techniques can be used with this. Now this mister bottle is truly a mist bottle, so it seems like I'm spraying a lot, but it's just because it doesn't really give you too much water the first time around. So basically, this is just how I build my sheets, and you can do anything that you want, of course. I haven't done much of this type of playing since we moved back in August, so it's a lot of fun for me to take out my craft mat and start playing around again like this. So I'll do a little more here. The interesting thing about these inks, and you can kind of see it right where I'm drying, is the fact that I can put that lighter green on top of the blue and I can see the green. It mixes just a little bit, especially if any of that blue is still damp. It'll mix even more. But you can see I'm getting that lighter green on top of the darker blue, and that is something you could not do with your traditional Distress inks. You could do it, but it would make a new color, I guess I should clarify. I think I'm going to get just a little bit more. Now, one thing that Tim Holtz does tell you is that you're not going to want to contaminate one ink pad with another color. So I'm not going to want to come back with my blue when my green is still wet and all over my craft mat. And it dries really fast, actually. I can sit here and watch it dry. And I've noticed that the original Distress dye inks take a little longer to dry. Just a little bit, but it is noticeable. So see, I'm starting to get something really, really pretty. And again, you know, if you don't like any white on your sheet, you can always just kind of bend your paper, you know, like make sure this is kind of forward and just sweep that one corner into some color. So that's fine. I don't mind some white, but if you really don't want it, you can get rid of it. See, very pretty. That could almost, right now, if I just stopped, that could be a fabulous background for like some floral stamping or something. Make a beautiful little scene. So depending on what you're going for, you just never know what you'll come up with. And sometimes it's nice, I do this all the time, I'll start with a blank panel and with an intention in mind of what I want it to be like, and then all of a sudden I create something totally different, but I love it. So I'll just stop, set it aside, and go back to my original plan. So sometimes I go off the rails, but in a good way. So here comes, I should mention, I'm sorry, the first one, or the blue I used was Broken China. The green I'm using is Cracked Pistachio. And now this color I'm bringing in is the Worn Lipstick. And do you see the difference? How it brightens up and it just gets so vibrant once I spritz it with water. It's so pretty to see that. So see, I'm going to add some to my edge. I really like that. Oops. Keep it from blowing away, hopefully. I'm kind of stretched. My outlet is far away and my cord is short on my heat gun, so I almost have to take it out of frame to use it. So see how pretty that is? And I'm gonna pick up this little spot. That's the other thing you can do is while it's still damp, you can bring in your paper towel and touch it down to the paper and see, you can see where I picked up some of that color. and then it leaves a lighter area behind. So that's always a pretty effect too. And I kind of like some splotchiness. I am not afraid of splotches. Some people like their watercolors to be very soft focus, which is beautiful too, but I like a little more vibrancy in there as well. So see some of the fun effects that I'm getting here, just with these little splattery freckled areas. I really like that. So I'm gonna get some more in here, I think. That's kind of fun shape. And if you make what you would consider kind of a mistake, just immediately blot it with a paper towel, and that kind of erases. So like when I first dipped, I got a rather harsh line, and so I dipped again right away. But see, I had that line there. So I want to brighten that up a little bit. There's just no end to the playing you can do, which is great. So I think I'm going to stop there. As tempting as it is to just keep going and going, I'm going to stop there because there's one more technique I want to throw in. And this is something that I saw Tim do during his demo. And what he did is he took one of the original Distress inks, the dye ink, and added it into his oxide panel. So when I originally made my first one, I had quite a bit more blue in it, and it was really kind of darkening the whole panel. This one actually turned out lighter, so I like it, but I wanted to add some of this Dusty Concord purple. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get one nice little squeeze and get it nice and wet. And then I'm going to take just some old paintbrush I happen to have, and I'm going to load that beautiful purple into my paintbrush. Make it nice and saturated with that beautiful purple. And then I'm going to add some splatters. And the closer I am to my panel, the bigger the splatter, and the farther back I am, the smaller. So I'm going to start and again, restraint is important here. I'm not known for my restraint, but I will try. And I also have to caution that, yes, you can get messy doing this. When I was demonstrating this for my mom, I was flinging paint everywhere, and it really got a little silly. So you should probably show some control. Or you can create a little paint splatter box for yourself, and then just whenever you do paint splattering, do it in that box. But this I just like because it kind of adds another element. And again, some of it's dry, some of it's still wet. So I'm going to go in and blot so that I get different levels of saturation. So see? Very fun. And again, you can go ahead and keep going. I think I'm going to do a little more really like this panel, actually. I think it turned out nice. And since it doesn't matter so much that this is dye because this is on the top surface, I'm sure you can add dye at different levels. Whoops. Meaning you can put some dye ink down, put a little more oxide on top of it, you know, just play around, see what works, see what doesn't work. That's kind of the whole point of playing, is that you're just making some discoveries. But anyway, so there is my finished panel, and I think it turned out really fun. So I personally love things that are like this, very bold and high contrast. That's generally what I'm drawn to. So I really like it. So anyway, like I said, this is just going to be a sample panel, and now I'm going to switch this video over to the card that I'm going to make with one of these panels. So I'll gather all my things and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so let's go ahead and take one of those panels and I'll show you what I am going to create with it. So I apologize in advance because the die set that I was using, I actually borrowed it from my mom. And so she was just here yesterday and I gave it back to her, which of course was great, except for the fact that I can't show it to you now. So anyway, it was a Sizzix stamp and die combination set that she picked up at Tuesday morning, and she got it for $15, which was half price. Normally it's $29.99. And anyway, it was very pretty, and that is what I'm going to be showing you, is what I made with the dies. So the first thing I did is I took one of my A2 sized 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 Nina Solar White card bases, and I just had a rubber stamp in my stash that I've probably had for 15 years or more, and I went ahead and used the Broken China ink, the new Oxide ink, and I stamped it in that beautiful color. And look how beautifully clear and crisp the stamping is with the new Oxide inks. And that is, again, a difference between the traditional Distress ink and the new Distress Oxide. You're going to get this beautiful, crisp, sharp, not splotchy at all, not fuzzy or out of focus or anything at all. You get crisp, beautiful stamping. So I stamped it down, and I actually made this the other day, so it's completely dry, and if you're in a hurry you can always dry it with your heat tool real quick. And naturally, since it stays damp for a while, you can actually sprinkle it with clear embossing powder and heat it, and then that way you get a lovely shine and an embossed look. So anyway, there is that. And then I took the, like I said, the Sizzix butterfly die. There's 2 different sizes in that set, so I did the large and the small butterfly, and then there's 2 different sized kind of teardrop shaped dies, and the large teardrop is meant for the upper wing, and the smaller one is meant for the lower wing. So I took one of my Distress Oxide ink panels that I created, and I die cut those teardrop shaped pieces, 2 large ones for the wings, and then these 2 small ones for the lower wings. And then I took the 2 smaller size, cut them out again, and used them here on the baby butterfly. So that is how I created those 2, and I just glued them together. The inset panels here aren't raised or anything, they're just flat. And then, since I had more of that paper left, I went ahead and cut an 1-inch wide strip that's 5 1/4 inches long. And then I mounted it on black, and I'm going to have that running down this side of the card. And again, it was just my way of making the most out of that panel that I possibly could. So see, you can see here, there's that cracked pistachio, there's the broken china, there's the worn lipstick, and then those splatters of seedless preserves on top. So this was from the first panel that I made. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to attach that flat with some tape. But yeah, when you make those panels, like I said, you know, I always sit down and just concentrate on playing around to see what I get. But when I create something I really like, I want to use it. And doing a card like this is a great way to use those beautiful panels that you make. My mom and I were playing and making more panels yesterday, and she made the prettiest panel, and she was like, you know what, she said, I might just mat this and put it in a frame and hang it on the wall. It was beautiful, and that is absolutely what you can do. You really are creating art, and just because it's quite easy doesn't make it any less impressive. So do what you want with your panels. Nobody is going to judge. All right, and so the idea here, I'm going to put a big butterfly this way and the little butterfly over here. All right, and there we go. There's my finished card. So the card comes together super quick and easy. And like I said, it's a wonderful way to go ahead and use some of the fun panels that you create with your Distress inks. And thank you so much for sitting with me through this video. I'll see y'all again soon. Bye-bye.